their concern, and I want to make sure we're addressing their concern. We also, of course, by law and morally, have to take care of anyone who, God forbid, has become homeless. I always say, there, but for the grace of God go we. So what happened was, again, a crisis that forced us to have to use hotels. We're now starting the process of reducing the reliance on hotels. And the more we can do of that, and I think that's the big plan that you note, Sean,
if we have
is
time,
make sure we can start to get people out of those hotels, relieve some of the pressure on those communities, but do it in a way that's really safe for everyone involved, starting with those who are homeless. But on the specific quality of life issues, it's incumbent upon every city agency involved to get out there and solve them, and they are solvable problems. And that's the instruction I've given to every agency. There's a piece of this that different agencies have, obviously. Some of it is social services, homeless services, some is Department of Health, NYPD, sanitation. I've instructed all of them to address these issues as they come up and make sure that neighborhood residents see that these concerns are being addressed.
Send your kids to school, and the kids want to go to school.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, as far as relocating homeless people out of hotels, do you have any kind of timeline, even if it's a rough one? And then taking, for example, Hell's Kitchen, which I think has about 8 hotels where homeless people are being housed. Yeah, in those terms, can you say, like, by end of year it'll be down to 4 or anything like that?
Now, we'll be able to say more as we, continue to monitor the health situation. That's the crucial part here, Sean. And identify space that will work in our existing shelters. We've got to make sure, that we obviously had a problem because we're having a lot of people in close proximity as the coronavirus hit. We are not going to allow that problem to occur again, but we do need to start the process of getting out of the hotels. So we'll have more to say on that as both the plans are more deeply developed and as we see what the health situation shows us.
And I talked about that.
The next is Roger Stern.
After I saw the story on CBS on the news on I believe Friday, and I talked about all the Frederick Douglass tour in Rochester, New York.
A man who was lighting a candle in tribute to a shooting victim was himself shot.
However, I meant to. I had the article, and for some reason I accidentally threw it out. Maybe I can get to it online, where it had the name of the newspaper that Frederick Douglass.
Like the one you talked about, someone's there at a memorial, and to see an act of violence like that is very, very painful, and it should not happen to see.
He had a newspaper that he printed in
Rochester. I keep telling
Rochester.
everyone, I think everyday New Yorkers understand it. We have been put through hell in this city. Everything fell apart simultaneously because of the coronavirus. We're now building it back up. And the NYPD is moving officers where they're needed.
It was called the North Star.
More deeply to fight crime.
So I got that information from LOC.gov. Thank you, Library of Congress.
We need the whole picture to come back into focus. We need the court system to get working again. We need a lot
So we need the court system to get working again.
Stop this problem, but it's painful. The president blusters, and the president tries to draw attention to himself.
This is the Northern Star. Everyone knows about the Northern Star,
much to back it up.
and people look at the Northern Star.
Bottom line is
when will that be free?
Is obvious as they have done for decades upon decades. They are the people who can help us address this issue and end this violence. And that's
so even if you're not free, if you feel you're not free, you're in a violent relationship or someone violent is stalking you, pray for freedom. I look at the North Star. So he lived in Rochester as he printed the North Star, and it said it says right here on the Library of Congress's website. I'm going to put this on my blog. I'm still waiting for my blog to update all the blog posts on the first page, and it will. So wait. We'll just wait,
Well, I appreciate you asking, Roger, because with all due respect to that young man, I think he's in a lot of pain because of everything that he's been through and his community's been through. But I listened to him very intently.
And the statement from the president on the passing of Mr. Robert Trump is online. Let me use my dove. I have to use this dove.
And I listened to everyone and saw that there was clearly a difference between people in the community, and I thought it was not productive to end up having a debate between community members there. I said I heard both sides and we would work on the issue. But no, I heard him very clearly. And I understand people are in a lot of pain, Roger. I understand people are quick to be upset about everything nowadays because everyone's been through so much. But it's just not fair. That's not what happened at all. And if people want to, you know, in the larger public discourse, I think nowadays everyone wants to be offended by everything. It's just not accurate. I heard him, I heard other people from the community, I talked to a number of people. They happen to have different viewpoints. I respected all the viewpoints. But no one was disrespected. They were heard. Go ahead.
The next is Katie from the Wall Street Journal.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Mayor, and to the Chancellor. My questions are about school reopening. My first is specifically about District 75 students. I haven't seen much in the reopening plan that speaks to the specific needs of those students, particularly those who have one-to-one aids, need more classroom space and other accommodations. So can you speak a little bit about that, even in inclusion class, perhaps the students require a one-to-one power or something like that?
We're reading a lot this summer, aren't we? This is so much fun.
Yeah, and Katie, you've asked this, I appreciate that you've asked this kind of question several times. It's a really important area. Doesn't usually get enough attention. But for any families, any parents with kids with special needs, nothing could be more important. And they're dealing with so many challenges before the coronavirus and even more now. So I do really appreciate that you've raised it persistently. And Chancellor, why don't you speak to that?
Yeah, Katie, thank you. So,
are y'all love to join cooking? Isn't the cookbook great? I think I might make peanut butter cookies.
Particular schools that have the specialized
I made the
programs.
pasta. The pasta tasted good. Didn't look the best, but it tasted
For
good.
example, D75
So
schools have
let's talk about Federal
additional
Douglas.
models
We are
that they can
reading a lot.
implement, which would give additional time
So
and
I love this
person
book that I
for
bought from
students that are the most
Barnes
fragile.
and Nobles.
Every
As a
building's
bookmark.
floor plan when those
So where
dimensions
are we
were
right
given
now
to
with Federal
principals,
Douglas? We're on
there was
page
special
69
attention
in
paid
this
to
edition. And it was under $10.
classroom
Maybe
situations where
y'all
you
can find a
need
book
more
under $10.
space.
You can go to a
And
used
given
college
not
bookstore,
only
you might be
principals,
able to
but
find
also
it.
the building engineers the latitude to adjust those plans to accommodate
Let's read
for
a passage.
those individual needs. There are literally
I have
tens of
said that
thousands
this
of these
made
kinds of scenarios.
this mode of
So
treatment
to
is part of the
incorporate
whole
every single
system
one
of
of those
fraud
individual
and
scenarios into
inhumanity
a
of
comprehensive
slavery. It
plan
is
is
so.
obviously
The
just
more
not
we are
possible.
adopted
But
to
that work is
discuss
happening at the school sites, and we
the
are
slave with
supporting
freedom
what's happening from a
by
centralized
allowing him to
perspective
see
as
only
well,
the
with
abuse of
additional
it is
whatever
carried
they
out in
need
other things.
to
For
be able to get
instance, a
in-person
slave loves
learning.
molasses. He steals some. His master, in many cases, goes off to town and buys a large
also a
quantity.
little
He
bit about
returns,
back to
takes his whip, and
schools.
commands the slave to
If a
eat the
student
molasses until the poor
chooses the
fellow is
on
made
remote
sick
option
at
or
this
even
very
a
next
hybrid,
moment.
who's their teacher with
So
a
that's
remote?
about,
Is
this
it
is
someone
about
from their
slavery,
school?
and
Is
that's
it someone
about
random?
the life of
This question
Frederick
has come up a
Douglass,
lot in terms
a
of,
man born into
who will be teaching,
slavery,
and if a teacher
who wrote a
chooses the
book. So
remote
when
option
is
for
your
health
book
reasons, who
going
will
to
they
be
be teaching, that
published,
sort of thing?
people?
I think there's a
You
lot of
can use
unanswered
Amazon,
questions.
you can use
There are, and I'll
Word,
start
you
to
can publish
pass to
on
the chancellor.
your social
Katie,
media
this
page
is,
on
everyone
Facebook,
acknowledges it's a
Twitter,
work in progress.
LinkedIn,
That said, a work in
Instagram.
progress where a lot
Publish
has already
your
been put
writings.
together.
You know, write every
And
day and
more
maybe
will
make
be
a
over the
book
course of the next month.
or
Some of this will be
something like
determined
that.
in the actual doing of it, like
I
so much
don't
of the rest of
journal
life.
yet. I
We
just
are
kind
in
of
a
write essays
full-blown
every day
crisis. This is,
sometimes.
as I used to say, this is
I
a
used to,
wartime
I should say.
situation. Not everything will be
And I'm
perfect.
kind of
But our job is to
doing
do the
different
best we
things,
can
like
for
reading.
our kids and our families. And I have a lot of faith in our
You can listen to the
educators.
man as
They
I'm
know
talking.
a
Maybe
lot
ask some questions
about
from the
how to be
press.
resourceful and creative.
So
But
this
with that
weekend's
said,
New York
you're
Times
absolutely right. The more answers we can give people, the better.
is great.
So
So I'm
Richard, why
Stephanie.
don't you,
This
at this point
is
in time,
Intelligent
talk
Luxury.
about where we are
I'm
as we
Stephanie.
continue to develop these plans?
Sure. So, Katie, again, some critical information that's just recently now become available.
This weekend, on August 16th, Unwanted Truth, the untold story of President Trump's battles with the country's intelligence services, an exclusive report by Mr. Robert Draper. They also have an article about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court Justice. A little article about Mr. Mark Cuban. I like watching Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. Do you see him and Damon John from Fubo?
that
Entrepreneurs. He started out selling magazines. I started
will
off
have
selling magazines,
teachers from their school or teachers from their school. There'll be some
So
continuity.
he
Obviously,
says
that
the
is our
question:
goal,
can you talk about
but
what the
that's
most
not
important
guaranteed
factors were
because it's
outside
going
of
to depend
safety
on how many
in getting the
teachers
NBA back to
at
playing
that
this year?
school are in remote
And
mode, how many are in person learning.
I'll get to read
Obviously,
that.
if you
Y'all
have
can read
less
that.
students per class,
What do
you
you
need
we do
additional
about a neighbor
staffing.
who
So
breaks the
we are
distancing
in the
rules?
throes of all of those
Cultured
detailed
butter.
planning processes right now.
I like these diagnosis. He was in robust health, but suddenly his legs hurt and he was chronically congested. Even his ears became red and swollen. What will cause all of that?
Our goal continues to be that students will have instruction in remote learning mode from
For the
teachers or
eat,
a teacher
I like the
in their
eat
school
section. This is
wherever
Eat by
possible.
Barry Greenspan. When is she related to Mr. Greenspan?
Next is Luis.
Memories of ice cream. Raspberry with a chocolate magic shell is what I made when I was sheltering with my family. I plan to keep on making it. Ooh, nice recipe. Y'all can read that. Remember, you can order old issues on NewYorkTimes.com. And also, you can go to a library and photocopy any articles that you need.
As long as our health metrics remain as good as they are today. Luis, look,
Or go online and read the article.
the likelihood again is that we are really trying to
My
focus
condolences
people
to the
away
Trump
from
family and the loss of his brother.
And I also think the vast majority of organizations that host them don't want to do them in this environment. We've seen a huge number of organizations make their own decisions, but they don't want to do gatherings this year. They want to wait till we've moved forward further in addressing the disease. So we'll say something formal on that shortly. But
So
that's
let's try to read this narrative of Frederick Douglass
regarding the governor's loosening
on
on New York
page
City's reopening
69.
restrictions. Aside from the obvious fact that our health metrics have been stellar for
We could
weeks,
probably,
any idea what else might have led
let's
the
say,
government to take this recent turn
today,
in
just
direction?
read up until pages.
Look, as I've said many times, and it's something that really should be
Read up to chapter 11.
noted, acknowledged, the state and the city have been in overwhelming agreement
I brought this pen from a
in
dollar
terms
store,
of each of the steps we've taken.
and it smells.
And I know the governor and the state take a very cautious approach, and I commend them for that.
This is
Take the specific actions last few days were about pinpointed reopenings with lots of protections in place. So that's where we need to continue to focus.
another book that I was talking
that
about.
if we open anything up, that we
And
put all the right restrictions on it and limits on it. And if
Mr.
we can't do
Chasm.
that, then it's probably not
So
something.
Mr. David
to
Chasm, thank you very much for this book. I got this book at the Book Expo. All you authors that were playing for the Book Expo.
Hey, good morning. Happy Monday, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
He says they're book contributors. Ms. Arbuckle, Mr. Arthur, Mr. Boyle, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Dupont Jr., Ms. Geisler, Ms. Bacon, Mr. Haggett, Mr. Lucy, Mr. Neffinger, Mr. Rhea, Mr. Rosen, Mr. Sickley III, Mr. Scherer, and Mr. Wheelock. Published by the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference in Mahwah, New Jersey, and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. Cover photo: volunteers, 21st Century Rock steps on Bear Mountain, New York. I haven't seen these steps in Bear Mountain. I'm actually from Rockland County, and we love going to Bear Mountain. But I don't remember seeing these steps.
We have got to focus on
Let me tell you about he gave me this book and I was like, oh, thank you so much. Because we love our state parks here in New York. So about the Appalachian Trail, it tells you about the Appalachian Trail and the Appalachian Mountains, and how to use this book, and the Appalachian Trail in New York and New Jersey.
Those folks will now be able to return to other things. But I'm certainly deeply concerned. I mean, I love our parks. Spend a lot of time in our parks.
They have tips of, don't walk on the trail. Tips for enjoying the Appalachian Trail. It says plan ahead and prepare. Travel and camp on durable services.
Okay, and then on a different
Dispose
topic,
of
I
waste
just wanna go back to
properly.
something
Leave
you
what
said
you
earlier.
find. Don't take flowers or other
on
sensitive
President's tweet
natural
that he
resources.
blustered at the
Minimize
bottom line
campfire
and
impacts.
NYPD
Respect
is gonna
wildlife.
do what they've
Don't
done for
disturb
decades, and that's who
wildlife.
we're relying
And be
on.
considerate of other
But
visitors.
the union actually
so he says how to use this book.
endorsed the president for re-election.
Tells you how to use it.
What's your response
It's really interesting.
Membership
He has
actually siding
parts
with the
that I
president
haven't
here,
traveled
and
to
then
yet.
you're relying on the NYPD to, control the crime situation?
Yeah,
he has a great map here. Maps of like Wawayanda State Park and Harriman and Bear Mountain State Park. So I don't think I've been to Harriman.
For years, decades. They've been the greatest naysayers.
Sorry, it's in reverse, as I said.
Talking about what's wrong.
And you can still see on the map. It shows you the Harriman and Bear Mountain State Park. So you can hike, picnic. I don't think you can camp in Bear Mountain. You may be able to camp in the other park. But they show you a beautiful picture of the Hudson River Valley. And he has several parks. Let me show you, like in New York.
And you see amazing, heroic stories.
He has the Shaghatchel Mountain Campsite, the 10-mile river lean-to on the House Tonic River.
Officers went into a burning building in Queens and rescued people.
Great areas.
Putting their lives on the line. They're not
Nuclearly.
wearing, fire protection. They just went in to save lives because that's what our police officers do.
And then, here's a park that I've been to, US 9 to Bear Mountain Bridge. So if you're from New York City, you can take Route 9, which is the West Side Highway. If you rent a car or drive a car, you take Route 9 to US 9 to Bear Mountain Bridge. I went to, if you cross the Bear Mountain Bridge and make a right or travel north from Westchester County, there's a museum there. And I went to the museum. There were African American soldiers in the museum of African Americans living in the area in the past. So I wanted to conduct a little bit more research about that. It's called it's the Fort Montgomery Museum. Wrote that down. And they were like saddlecloths. Really interesting museum, but they have campsites. The section has one campsite, Hemlock Springs campsite at 3.6, 2.2. I read today on President Trump's Facebook page that he donated his salary to the parks, and I thanked him for that, because we, poor people, he's a billionaire, right? But, well, people, poor people who can't go to a resort all the time, let's say, love to go to the parks. If more rich people go to the parks, it helps poor people go to the parks. I don't want to say I was poor, but it does help poor people, alright? Alrighty then, so let me tell you, Bear Mountain State Park is great, and that Fort Montgomery Museum. Thank you to the staff for letting me into that museum. I had a quick walk around myself, and I believe you can go down to the river. I just wasn't able to go. Now in
we had Donald Conyers on
they have another
our
state
podcast last week, Mr. Mayor, and I was curious as to why you chose Mr. Conyers to be the first deputy, and Chancellor Carranza chose Donald to be the first deputy chancellor, and why you think that his position.
So they have a trail, Arden Valley Road and Tiarati Circle.
I mean, this is a model that this chancellor developed, which I think is the best structure we've ever
let's
had.
talk about the New York-New Jersey state line. That's the Wawayanda Shelter Lake side. You have Greenwood Lake, beautiful lake.
The work of our superintendents, strengthen our sense of what was.
So I thank him so much for this book, y'all. You have to go to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, order this book. This is the 17th edition. Maybe we have another edition. This is the Appalachian Trail Guide, New York, New Jersey. Thank him for giving me this book. Maybe I'll have him show me around some of these places in New Jersey that I haven't been.
Upside down and backwards, and understands what.
Remember, the sensibility. I have to wait for my new copy. It's falling apart. And I might read a little bit of the Brontes.
Go ahead, Richard.
I had to throw out one of those. This is something that after I borrowed at the library, I said I have to have these. I was always watching it. Sense and Sensibility. This is the BBC Classics version, 6 disc set. It's good to have a disc. We just have a DVD player. The delightful story tells of two sisters attempting to find happiness in a tightly structured society of the 18th century England. Eleanor, disciplined and restrained, is very conscious of the manners of the day, represents sense. Outspoken, impetuous, emotional Marianne represents sensibility. Attracted to a man already promised to another, Eleanor suffers silently to keep scandal away from her family. Marianne enjoys a flirtation with a handsome scoundrel that could lead to her downfall. Through their experiences with men and their relationship with each other, they learn that neither sense nor sensibility alone is enough, so that one must strive for a balance of the two. Starring Irene Richard and Tracy Childs. Dramatized by Alexander Barron, produced by Barry Letts, directed by Rob Bennett, BBCAmerica.com. So almost every one of her novels, Emma, Persuasion, Mansfield Park, Pride and Prejudice, North Anger Abbey, and Sense and Sensibility, are all on this DVD set.
Just Brooklyn. We're not even talking about Queens, which would be 4 or 5. So,
as we read the New York Times this Sunday, we have the New York Times Brooklyn there. So I read this, Edward P. Jones by A.O. Scott. It says, Edward P. Jones, there are 28 of them evenly divided between 28 essays or short stories, and Lost in the City in 1992, and all on Hogwarts Children 2006.
On Friday,
all set mostly within the boundaries of the nation's capital.
They deployed facial recognition technology in their investigation
so
into
it's interesting. Read about that when y'all read
whose Hell's Kitchen home was
the New York Times
besieged
book
by
review.
dozens of police officers, police dogs,
I like
helicopters,
looking
and
at
happened
this.
earlier this month. You had previously said this arrest was not approved by high-ranking police officials, so I'm wondering who exactly signed
This
off
is interesting.
On
The Pull of the Stars by Emma Dunno. She talks about Dubliners struggling in the 1918 flu epidemic. We all love Maeve Binchy and The Circle of Friends, one of my favorite books of all time. The Circle of Friends. Then you have The System, Who Rigged It, How We Fix It, by Robert Wright. Break 'em Up, Recovering Our Freedom from Big Ag, Big Tech, and Big Money. Those books are about the economy. The Divergent Paths of Two Syrian Brothers Separated by War, The Road from Raqqa, a story of brotherhood, borders, and belonging. And then Stranger Than Paradise, Before Miami Was the Legal Capital, it was beset by unrest. The Year of Dangerous Days, Riots, Refugees, and Cocaine in Miami. So I was thinking about meteorology this month as my editorial focus, A Fearless Sky, 500-year history of America's hurricanes, and just how we all love August, but we know September is arriving and it's going to be cold, but it's really hot. Where do you vacation during hurricane season, not hurricane areas? Are people going to other states? Are you going to other nations? Which nations do you want to go to? I would like to know. Tweet me at IntelliLuxury.
Should not happen, won't happen in the future. Go ahead.
Then we have Beach Reads.
Thank you. And I also asked who signed off on
Beach Reads this summer by Elizabeth Egan. This summer, more than ever, indulge in some page-turning escapism. I love beach reading, so all of these books look pretty good.
Why are teachers not mandated to get the COVID-19 test? My
Remember
understanding
this
is they're
movie
just
Platoon?
being asked, and I'm wondering why it's
We're
not
talking about writing,
mandated.
directing, surviving, Platoon, Midnight Express, Scarface, Salvador, and movie game.
The Chancellor. Cindy, again, we'll get you an answer on the specifics of that situation.
Edward P. Jones has these books, Lost in the City, the On Hogwarts Children, and short stories. So read this article pretty,
not just for
pretty
a
good.
situation involving
Still
focus, but
reading
in general,
a long article.
very clear, sharp standards of when and how facial recognition can be used when there has been
So let's
criminal
talk about
act.
the inside list by
Again, there
Elizabeth
was a
Egan.
criminal act that was
Writer's
being
block.
addressed
Eddie
here, but not the
Escobar
right way
Jr.
at all.
says he first
So
envisioned
we'll come back with
Begin
more
Again
information
Now
on
at number
that
5
as
on
we
the
proceed.
hardcover nonfiction
On
list
the question
as an
testing,
intellectual
we
biography
want to
of James
respect
Baldwin, but then he ran into
members
this wall. A
of
year went by and he
the
hadn't
unions
written a
here
thing.
that are
While on
educators.
sabbatical from
We've
Princeton
been working
University,
with
where he is
unions
a
to figure out
professor
the best
of African
approach
American
to
studies,
testing.
maybe we could talk to him
So
about
far, I'd say
why he
the
chooses
discussions have
certain
led to a simple model
books
that
and
says
articles
it is
in
available for
his
all
African
educators
American
and all
Studies
staff for
courses,
free.
and why you should take an African
And that
American
we
Studies
are
course.
strongly encouraging
This
them all to
weekend,
take that
I
up.
read the Friday to
And that
Saturday
we want to
Sunday
do that on a
edition
regular
of the Wall
basis
Street
going
Journal,
forward.
and there was a
But we're
great
continuing those
article
discussions to
in
figure out
the
right
in
way
the
to
newspaper
actually
about,
plan.
sometimes
What
they
that
have a
is
magazine, they
certain
used to have a magazine.
any and all testing
They
that our educators
talked
need.
about
We'll have it available for
requiring
free. Go
ethnic
ahead,
studies,
Yeah,
something
no
that one
more
of
to
my
answer.
school
That's
required,
exactly where
race
we are.
studies classes, and he was
Okay.
against it. And I don't know if he's
So,
really against it or
as
just
we wrap
waiting
up
just
today,
to
look, I just want to say, first of all, again, a thank you
to
all
talk
the
about the
workers
issue of
as
why
we
he
start
doesn't think it
another
should be,
week.
or
We
why
start
others
with
think that it shouldn't be. But I was just
amazing
like,
facts on
oh
the ground.
my, we
How far
definitely
this city
loved
has
our
come
race
back from the
classes. It was so
coronavirus,
great
and
talking
every
about
one of them.
race with
Just
people who
those
were
simple
not
things.
African
Every time you
American. I
practice
thought
social
that was
distancing, every time you're putting
very
on a hand
empowering.
sanitizer, every time you're wearing a face covering,
So it
it's
was
important.
very empowering.
Let's stick with it.
I don't know if I kept it.
And let's see every one of those small acts as a step toward our future. It really is amazing. It's almost unfathomable, but it's true how every single little small thing that every single one of these
So I like
people has
reading
done day after day after day
different
has added up
newspapers,
to this
especially the
result that
Wall
we're now
Street. If
one
you
of
can't
the
afford the
safest
Wall Street
places in
Journal every day in New York
America
Times because
when it
they
comes to
are
fighting the
expensive
coronavirus.
newspapers.
And
Just,
that
you know,
should allow
once
us
a
to
week, it
focus
costs
now
you about
more and
$10,
more on our
$11.
future, because we
This costs
are
about
proving
$5
it
or
can
so.
be done.
But
And
it's
we are
definitely
proving
worth
that
it
we'll be able to
if
move
you
forward
have
this city.
Hamburger
And that
Nation
reminds me
eating
again
in the
of
eating
how
and
we
drinks
have to
section in the
focus
Saturday
on our
Sunday
kids.
edition.
They are
Excuse
truly
me.
our future. They've been through so much. Now is the time to start
They talked
giving
about the
them
Lexus
back what
LC
they
500
need. The
convertible
education, the love, the
in the
support, the
Saturday
mentorship
edition
that can only
called
happen
Off
in
Duty.
a public school building.
But I really
want us
love
to be
this.
about our hope, not our fear,
They have
our
an article
belief
in
in our
an
future,
indelible
our belief
way
in our future.
to draw
And
attention
recognizing
by
the things
Jacob
we're doing
Gallagher.
really are
He
moving
talked
us forward
about
every day. And that spirit we're going to prevail. Thank you,
a
everybody.
little bit of the fashion, this is style and fashion section. So that photograph is by Indiana University Archives. Should you wear a watch if there's no one to impress? And then the Quarantini Chronicles. So the mayor just ended. Thank you, Mayor. And now I have to go to another screen. My split screen wasn't working. Meaning that I couldn't show you what I needed to show you. So we'll wait for things to begin. If I haven't done already. A great roast recipe for pan roasted communication problem. My computer is okay. So we have the pan roasted thing. So this is all in the off-duty section of the Wall Street Journal's Saturday, Sunday paper, which you can purchase. Read it online right now. Great articles about fashion. There's the review section. And in the opinion section is where we wrote, I want to get, let me tell you, a book about Nat King called Beautiful Man. Isn't he hot? He's hot. Like Michael Jordan hot. Isn't he hot? Who wants to be hot, huh? Hot, you get too many people after you. Look at, they have great book reviews. Children of the Ash and Elm by Neil Price. And this These are by Will Friedwald. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and fly right. I love the best, and I can call that album, that CD I have. I didn't read this article because I want to wait to read Anne of Green Gables. So I thank them for writing. Like, do they secretly know that we're all reading Anne of Green Gables? And then they have country codes. This article is great. This was by Catherine K. Zarilla. Also, I found the article. The Wall Street Journal Global Food Forum. Really important. October 5th. Not that I lost the article. Right here. And then universities abandon reason for a false idea of empowerment. So let's watch. I found out where to watch. Remember, the Democratic National Convention starts tonight at 9 p.m. and you have different speakers on tonight. Tonight you have First Lady Michelle Obama, Senator Bernie Sanders, performance by Leon Bridges, Maggie Rogers, Senator Doug Jones, Representative Gwen Moore, Convention Chairman Benny Thompson, Representative Jim Clyburn, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Senator Amy Klobuchar. So this is all today from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And what's really interesting is that I read this article by Mr. Zubia, Mr. Aaron Alexander Zubia, and I wanted to talk about it. The California State University system let me read. The California State, he says the title of the article, Mr. Zubia's article, is Universities Abandon Reason for a False Idea of Empowerment. So I guess he thinks taking an ethnic class is a false idea of empowerment, and I respectfully disagree. And then he says, he has great quotes in his article, very well written articles. I just disagree that ethnic and social justice classes being required would not be an idea of an empowerment. So he says, so now Cal State is requiring students to take courses that have as their very purpose the furthering of a political agenda. I think it's a political agenda, studying ethnic and social justice. I think it's to help people study people's society, learn about other people's culture, and that empowers you. That's not a political agenda, in my opinion. And then he has some interesting quotes. The Roman philosopher Cicero wrote that for the discovery of truth, it is necessary to argue against all things and for all things. In order for you to argue for all things, you must know what other people from other cultures think. In order for you to argue for all things, you have to know the argument in order for you to argue it or argue against it. So thank you for this article. It's really interesting. This is why I love Temple University. We would read articles like this, and we would, in class, just listen to other people talk and have opinions about what they really, really, really think about race, why they think about race. And you end up becoming like really good friends with people who even differ with you, who didn't grow up around black or white. It's really a lot of fun attending college. So, get involved with this Democratic National Convention vote so that you can argue for your truth or against another truth. I remember reading this weekly. My teacher assigned me to read the New York Times. and we would read it every Sunday. So, they have bestsellers. And the number one bestseller is Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. In a quiet town on the North Carolina coast in 1969, a young woman who survives alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. And the nonfiction is Too Much and Never Enough by Mary L. Trump, Simon & Schuster, and Where the Crawdad Sings, published by Putnam. And they have different books. I think it would be interesting and Becoming by Michelle Obama is still on there at number 9. But we have Camino Wins by John Grisham, published by Doubleday. Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, published by Del Rey. In the 1950s, Mexico, a debutante travels to a distant mansion where family secrets of a faded mining empire have been kept in. I always like family secrets, like, ooh, someone's child is not, has a different parent or something like that. Just something, that happens, just a family secret, and then everyone's happy. So we love those types of books. No. Oh, this is great. This won an NAACP Image Award, The Revisioners, by Margaret Wilkerson Sexton. So that looks great. So let's go through our script here. We know that Michael Jordan has restaurants in Illinois, Connecticut, and Chicago. The restaurant in Illinois is not in a casino. It's on the Miracle Mile. And let's talk about this. So let's talk about Michael Jordan's Steakhouse, the link to his restaurant, and to Mr. Bob Johnson's Mercedes-Benz automobile dealership website in Alabama, and a link to his hotel portfolio and RLJ Lodging Trust .com is on IntelligentLuxuryMagazine.com. I was waiting for a news conference from the Democratic National Convention, and we're waiting. Remember that Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris will speak from Wilmington, Delaware on Wednesday night, and Vice President Biden will speak on Thursday night. So what's really happening, so I think we'll talk about that Michael Jordan owns a golf course named Groove 23. Membership is by invitation only. Michael Jordan promotes the Jordan brand. So remember, that's on Nike.com or Jordan.com, and Michael Jordan owns the Michael Jordan Team 23 Nissan automobile dealership. He also sponsors the Novant Health Michael Jordan Family Clinic, and that information is on my website, IntelligentLuxuryMagazine.com. And then the U.S. Food Chef store is in North Carolina for restaurant owners. for further information about Mercedes-Benz is available on Mercedes-Benz.com. Please visit metmuseum.org for more information about the Met Museum. Today I'm wearing a Free People shirt and Walmart shorts. So y'all see my shorts? I have my shorts there and everything like that. And then my condolences to President Trump's passing due to the passing of his brother. And remarks by President Trump in the press briefing. Trump National Golf Course, Bedminster, New Jersey this weekend. So retailing spending has fully recovered, he said, and is now at an all-time high. And then he said, in fact, NASDAQ is at an all-time high. Small business optimism has come surging back, he said. During the National Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve Week, he said, we honor the employers. He didn't say this. This was in a statement. Who hire and support these brave men and women who stand beside them in their mission to ensure the security of our nation. The Vice President, let's talk about the Vice President. Let's talk about GoldmanSachs.com. That's a great place. That's a great company for investing advice. And let's talk about what he said this weekend. He said, the truth is these efforts of blaming law enforcement for violence on our streets, blaming law enforcement for unrest across America have got to end. We must back the blue. We must support law enforcement for the safety of all of our families of every race and creed and color. The Vice President has no public events scheduled today. Please visit Annie Fensterstock's jewelry website, anniefensterstock.com. Beautiful engagement rings and jewelry. Learn from the best. Dwayne Wade Jordan brand, Walmart, Target during Brand Week. Masters Live, September 14th through the 17th, 2020. Temple University is my alma mater, and the website is temple.edu. The U.S. Department of State. The United States manages numerous exchange programs for Dominicans to the United States and vice versa, including the Fulbright MESCYT program, the largest Caribbean cost-share academic exchange, tripling the number of Dominicans pursuing graduate study in the United States each year under the Fulbright via Dominican government funding. Additional U.S. government programs include academic professional exchanges, entrepreneurship programs, and leadership development programs that build people-to-people ties between our countries and strengthen institutions and civil society. Mayor de Blasio announced this week that 20 more locations for outdoor dining options as a part of a city initiative that combines the open streets and open restaurants programs. And you can learn more about that if you contact New York City's Department of Transportation's Bureau Commissioner's Office. Save the date for Thursday, August 20th at 7 p.m. The City of Newark will host a virtual community meeting to inform residents on how they can buy property in the city and about the properties that will be for sale at the upcoming auction on Thursday, August 27th. On Thursday, August 27th, tune in on the City of Newark's Facebook page, facebook.com /City of Newark. Apply to these universities: University of Pennsylvania, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and Harvard University at harvard.edu. And then you have Formula One, Visit Oregon. You have Microsoft Office Suite, Adobe Creative Suite. You have Apple Computers. Talk about books. Read books published by Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster, and HarperCollins. And remember to donate to your favorite hospital, like Lehigh Valley Hospital. Thank you for sending me press releases. And I'm Stephanie. My website is intelligentluxurymagazine.com. I guess I better say bond secures, Don't want them to lock me up if I don't mention it right. That would be crazy. Right. So then Bloomingdale's locked me up in the hospital for dental surgery. Wouldn't that be nice if they did that? Please visit Bloomingdale's.com. Please visit Louis Vuitton's website, LouisVuitton.com. Watch Stephen Colbert from home. Reserve a luxury hotel room today. Embassy Suites, Tampa, Downtown Convention Center, owned in part by Mr. Robert Johnson. Watch 60 Minutes and play The Sims. Great game to play The Sims. You can design clothing. You can make movies with The Sims characters. Just, purchase The Sims. You can design houses It's easier than a lot of CAD, a lot of CAD. One of my favorite things. I have to get a new computer in order to get that game. It takes up a lot of memory. Please watch CNBC.com, read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. Dress in Free People. I am a lifetime member of the NAACP. And please visit NAACP.org for more information about their convention. And I guess I'm having a little trouble bringing up things today. But remember, tune in live on social media tonight, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to watch this Democratic National Convention. Now this, you can say at Now This Politics. You can watch Governor Gretchen Whitmer at Now This Politics. You can watch Senator Amy Klobuchar at 1:30 p.m. Sorry we missed Miss Whitmer. And then Chasen, you can watch some other people. If in hashtag Team Joe Talks Convention Series. Thank you for watching my show. And tomorrow maybe we'll talk a little bit more about Rochester and the Northern Star. If I can read more about the Northern Star, maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll read a little bit from Frederick Douglass this week. And also we have Little Women, War and Peace, and we're reading Anne of Green Gables. We're also reading Nyack in Black and White, just to remind ourselves about suburbs. Now I am for affordable housing because we have good people in affordable housing. Please don't deny affordable housing to people who are good and not violent. I mean, no one wants violent people, and most people that live in affordable housing are not violent and are not criminals. So let's talk about Nyack in Black and White by Carl Nordstrom. Let's read it. Let's read this first chapter of Anne of Green Gables. Let me start. And then Little Women, we can read another chapter, and that's chapter 3. Let's finally read chapter 3, and we can get a chapter of that, and then a chapter of War and Peace, maybe. Let's try to do that this week. Maybe we can even do it tonight. Thank you for watching. Have a nice